What's up? Girl. Girl. I'm trying to talk about Tammy Brown. Hello, welcome to the Dragging It Out podcast, a RuPaul's Drag Race review show starting from the very beginning of the franchise that's been a trailblazer in LGBTQ plus entertainment and media as a whole. I'm your host, Logan LaMaster, comedian, podcaster, drag race fan, and a gay in his mid-20s living in the city. This podcast is dedicated to rewatching and reviewing the show that we all love and reflecting on how far it's come in over 15 years. This is a show I've wanted to do for quite a while, and I'm finally excited to get started with this fun rewatch party. I haven't rewatched most of Drag Race. I've watched a few seasons back here and there from time to time, but I'm really excited to get into this because I'm going to be reviewing the show starting from season 1, episode 1, and we're going straight through, which is a lot of seasons to cover, but I'm also hoping I could do this for a while, so there's that as well. And we're not going to worry about spin-offs yet and whatnot. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll see what happens. But I will be going in chronological order throughout the show. And I will be referencing other seasons while I review earlier seasons as well. So if you haven't seen Drag Race before or you don't care about spoilers, maybe this podcast isn't for you. Maybe come, rewatch the whole show. Maybe watch the show and come back, and then you can enjoy these episodes with us. But I am very excited to get started with this campy rewatch party. So let's start our engines and let's go. We're starting on February 2nd of 2009. In 2009, I was 11 years old, and I've heard of Drag Race before, but it's kind of insane to me how far it has come in that amount of time. I remember the best queer media that I had was Glee, and that had just aired at the time. And that was before I even knew I was gay to begin with. Well, I knew a little bit, as we all do from time to time. And that's when it all started to hit. So yeah, this was on February 2nd of 2009. Episode title, Drag on a Dime. All right, so we're going to get right into the entrance looks. And the first person to ever enter the workroom on RuPaul's Drag Race. The first person to ever enter the workroom on RuPaul's Drag Race is none other than Chanel. Right off the bat, Chanel has an insane shape and figure when it comes to her drag. The silhouette she presented walking into the World of Wonder basement is literally stunning and would be something you would see on a current modern season of Drag Race. And I mean that. When she walked in, I was like, this person knows her shape so well. As someone who's rewatching the series and hasn't rewatched season 1 at all, seeing her just really surprised me. Not that I think any of the drag queens on this show aren't good, because they got the best drag that they could. They didn't know if they would even get another season of this show, and they only got 9 people to be in it. And it shows. A lot of these people could do really well if they came back for an All-Stars or even another season. I could really see this drag being very good on another season. It just kind of shows that they really set a really good groundwork for season 1. And even though season 1 gets kind of a bad rap from time to time, they did pave a way for a lot of really exciting fashion we would see. One of the things that was so crazy to hear a queen was to refer to themselves as a he in their confessionals, and then their boy name was Chanel's being Brian. And I was like, what a way we have come. The fact that, it was the first season and they didn't know if they wanted them to fully just be either in their drag character, even out of drag, is so crazy to me. Like, you would never see that on a season. Like, could you imagine that? Like, if Trixie Mattel on like an All Stars would be like, "Hi, my name's Brian." Well, actually, I don't think she. No, I don't believe. I feel like this is only the only season they probably did using their real names during the confessionals. I haven't rewatched season 2 in a minute either, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But it's so wild to me. Um, Speaking of which, again, this is going to be brought up a lot. Chanel has a whole lot of ass, a whole lot of ass. It was making me curious if she designs a lot of her own looks, and I believe the answer is yes, and we'll get to that later when we get to the runway. Including the Y2K low-rise jean look she had was so amazing. It's crazy to see like how fashionable that was for then, and like that kind of Y2K look has come back a lot. So it's really, really cool to see. So yeah, like right off the bat, great person to have first walk into the workroom on Drag Race. We love Chanel. All right, so moving on to the second contestant to walk in was Nina Flowers. Nina Flowers has one of the most insane mugs I've ever seen on the show. The way she paints is just so fierce, like how crisp it is and sharp, and the contour is amazing. Like this mug is mean, and I'm obsessed with it. I have like no words. It's such a good jumping off point of like how to do really good drag makeup and make it look theatrical and expensive, especially the way she lines her lips. It's impeccable. So she also has amazing hair. She has this big, like, mohawk moment going on that comes through, and it just looks so good. And the pop of color that she does with it is just so amazing. Um, sh- you can really tell that Nina Flowers gives a lot of fashion. The other thing I noticed is that she was wearing like a lot of color. Like she loves a color. She loves a like an orange, a bright red. Like she is going to give you color. That is one thing Nina Flowers will do. Um, and I know in the past people have referred to Nina as one of the first alternative queens of Drag Race, and I would agree. Like the way Nina does drag is something you don't see of a traditional like pageant queen kind of look. So it gives this really like nice punk edge to the competition, especially because we do have like very beautiful drag contestants in this first season. So it's really cool to see like this interesting shape. All right, moving on to the third person to walk into the workroom, we have Rebecca Glasscock. Such an amazing name. Like Rebecca Glasscock is such a funny name. Rebecca Glasscock just like walking in looks like one of the goth girl from 16. Oh my god, what is her name? I actually need to look now. Okay, let's see. I used to be really into that show, so I don't know where. Nikki. She looks like Nikki from 16. It's like kind of crazy to look at. Like it's just like giving like that goth like edge with like this purple hair and the yellow like shirt. Um and it is so crazy to see someone walk into the workroom in jeans. That is so funny to me. Like the fact that someone walked in and was wearing jeans. Like and that is still like great drag. Like Rebecca looks hot. I'll give it to her. Like she looks good. I think we should bring back contestants wearing jeans on Drag Race. I would love it. And it's kind of amazing with having Simone from season 13, her step down look being this like ripped jean moment that's literally crystallized and bedazzled. It is stunning. It is stoned so well that it's crazy. Like, but yeah, I am team bring back jeans on Drag Race. It needs the comeback for sure. And one of the things I love is that it looks kind of like she went to the mall to get the look that she was wearing, and she still served on the other contestants, which is kind of hilarious. Like, just she probably was shopping down at the mall. Can you imagine being on the first season of Drag Race and that's like your thing? You're just like shopping down. like at the mall, and like your budget is probably like far better than what it is now on these seasons. Like you could just charge that credit card maybe for like 500 or something. I don't know. I actually don't know what the cost was at the time, but I can't imagine it's at the same extent of people having to take out loans, or people even now taking out like $70,000, which is an insane amount of money to spend on Drag Race. But they give it to us every time, and we love it. The other thing I will say is that Rebecca out of drag being named Javier. Javier is so hot, and he has amazing teeth. Like, it is very much giving trade of the season. I think like a lot of people have talked about that with Rebecca Glasscock as well. Like, it is so yeah. So Rebecca Glasscock, wherever you are, I'm free next Saturday night if you would like to hang out. All right, so moving on to the fourth person to walk in the room, we have Angina. Now, Angina was one of my all-time favorite queens to be on RuPaul's Drag Race. When I watched this first season, I just resonated with what Angina was doing so much. So it's like really exciting to like watch her first performance back. I remember being really invested in what she was doing. She walks in with this handbag that's almost half the size of her. Like it is literally like almost like 1/3 of like the actual size Angina is, which I think is like really funny. Like she is tiny. Like Georges thinks she's tiny, but Angina like eats her up, I think. Let's fact check that as well, actually. All right. So Angina is 5'4". Okay, that's not super short. I think like probably a lot of the contestants on the show were much taller than her too. So that kind of adds something. So let's see how tall Georges is. Okay, Georges is a 5'2". Okay, so Georges does have Angina beat right now. But I will say still, I just did not realize how tiny Angina was. And I guess if you think about it too, like the heels kind of add an extra layer there as well. But yeah, Angina also gives like this alternative drag look, but she also gives beauty, especially with her main thing being a bald queen. Being a bald queen on the show is so like important, especially for a first season. Obviously, being a drag queen is not about necessarily trying to make the illusion of looking like a woman. And I know whenever she got those runway critiques, they were saying she was giving like boy, but I think it is giving like very like powerful types of statements with that stuff, especially with the way she knows how to accentuate. She understands how to style an outfit, and that really works to her advantage. And I really, really like that. And on top of that, I did not realize when I first watched it that Ong was her middle name. So I just figured out the joke of her name being Angina. So it's pretty fun rewatching this season and realizing those things. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Angina does. As I say, acting like I have not seen this before. All right, so moving on to the fifth person to walk in the workroom, we have Victoria Porkchop Parker. Now, everyone who is in the Drag Race fandom, we all know this name like the back of our hands. For anyone who's a fan of the show. She is, spoiler alert, the first ever pork chop on Drag Race, which is the first person to ever be eliminated. She's 39 years old from Raleigh, North Carolina. So it's kind of cool to like see like the older drag style coming into play as well. The look that she comes in with is very elegant. She always carries herself that she just feels like a very perfect host for a drag show or a competition, or will give you to have like a good time at the bar, you know? And it's really, really cool to see big girl representation on the show, especially for season one. Like the casting for season one was really good of how to get a lot of diverse, different styles of art in Queens in the room. And I think that was really important because, like I previously said, they probably weren't sure if they were going to get a second season. So it's important to show the world what these people can do. And I think that's really awesome. Her doing 21 years of drag is really crazy. Um, when they were talking about it though, you can already see the drag race edit coming into play. Like the edit was kind of foreshadowing that she'll either win or fail. Spoiler alert, she fails. Um the most memorable quote for me that got like a chuckle out of me was when she was in there and she was just like, I need a Snickers. Like the quotes from this first episode are so crazy. Like I didn't realize how iconic some of these quotes were, and a lot of people didn't start at like season 1. They started like season 6 or season 5 and on. Or even like season 12 to begin with, like really late in the season. So they don't know a lot of these like iconic quotes, and I didn't even remember this one. And Pork Chop is a really fun time. We need to bring her back for All Stars. I know she's been a guest star multiple times, but bring my good girl Pork Chop back. Please, World of Wonder. All right, moving on. We have the 6th person to ever walk in the room, and it is Akasha, or otherwise known as Eric from Cleveland, Ohio. The way Akasha gives body is so incredible. Like this green, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a bikini, but it's also a 2-piece, but it's pants, but it's long sleeves. Like, I really like fashion, and I don't even know how to explain this one, but it is gorgeous down. Akasha really knows her body and she serves it well. And this hair she has on, this wig, is so pretty. Like she is just giving model and like beauty. And it's really cool to see. I'd really like to see like what she's up to now or if she's still doing anything with drag, but she is beautiful and she is tall. She is real tall. For that outfit, she definitely went to a designer for it, or she got all her friends to stone and sew those outfits, or maybe both. But yeah, the one thing I will say is that her makeup, the filter definitely helps everyone with their makeup in this season. And I don't think there's been a lot of debate about why they put that filter on it. The filter is not as bad as like people say. Like when I was rewatching it, it wasn't that distracting, but I believe it was because the camera quality wasn't great and they were trying to put like a shine on it. Like I don't think it was to hide the girls' mugs. I don't think it was to hide the queen's mugs, but I still think it looks really, really like it looks better for sure. Um, she dragged Chanel also with like not even a second thought, and I was getting my life. I was getting my life, and I was obsessed. All right, so the 7th person to walk into the workroom is Tammy Brown, the myth, the legend. Tammy looks like the 5th Golden Girl. Like she walks in with this like kind of brunette reddish hair and this like green dress. Like she looks like she's kind of in like a nightie or like one of those like dressing room like outfits, like one of those like mesh things you'd wear over and be like, oh, I'm such a lady. But it's really funny. And the way they play the old timey music when she walks in is so funny. Like even the editors on like this season in the very first episode were already being shady and like quirky, and it's so funny to look at. You can kind of tell in her confessional she does not want to be there. And she's being so satirical about it. Like you can tell she takes a lot of this as like a joke. Like she doesn't take herself too seriously. And it's really fun to watch and see that challenge coming from somebody. The way like Tammy was just so like on the nose and like camp with it was so funny. She's like, I know I'm on TV. I don't care, but I'm also going to give you great TV. And Tammy Brown, you will always be a legend. The funniest thing is when she's like already flirting and she's like trying to hit on Akasha. She's trying to bang people on the first day there. She is so me for that. It's crazy. Akasha had the very funny quote of saying she was staring at me and she was winking. Like, what? What is that supposed to tell us as an audience? I think that was just something that happened and they were just like, oh yeah, here it is. Like, that's fine. Which is just so funny to me. All right, so moving on to the eighth person to walk in, we have Jade, or otherwise known as David. Um, the one question I had immediately is how did she grow facial hair that quick in the confessional? Was this before they started filming the first episode? Like, Jade has a full beard in her confessional, and I just have so many questions about that. Like, we know on the newer seasons, they all have to wear the same outfit at all times. So they can like kind of edit and use pieces that they say in their confessionals whenever they want. So they always have to look the same throughout them. And I just, my theory is that it has to be before the competition, which means that that was like a completely different day because she's in full drag when she gets there. So that means like the day before she showed up to set or something with like a full beard and then just like did her confessional and then like we moved past it, or it would have had to been after the competition or something. There's just like, I have so many questions. World of Wonder, please send me an inquiry. I'm so curious. They really made Jade's entrance like really short, so I don't have a lot to say other than that, other than she looks nice in this hair, in this makeup, and the outfit is cute. It's like this teal silver moment. It's giving like really cute like streetwear, like I believe like mall shopper kind of vibes. And that's not a dig. It does look good. It does look good. Like this is a cute dress. Also, as well, sunglasses should go with every outfit on Drag Race, the way she just has them in her hair. That's all I'll say. Last but not least, and surely not least, is the ninth person to walk in the room, which is Bibi Zahara Bonet. And right off the bat, first thing I gotta say is pussy cat wig. Like, she is wearing this cute little pussycat wig, and I am obsessed with it. The way Bibi Zahara Benet walked with her pussycat wig so Monet Exchange could run. And she is originally from West Africa in Cameroon, which is really, really cool. One of the quotes she says is, I bring a lot of international influence, which is really true. And you see that already in like her entrance look, and you'll see it later on her runway walk too. This outfit is really pretty. Like, it's very much above everyone, and I'm going to drive in Miami later because I am rich, I am expensive, I am everything. And like the boots are like so pretty too. I think those are boots on it. Yeah, whatever those are. Those little booties that she has on are so pretty. Like she really does. It's not like the craziest entrance look I've seen. It's not my favorite of the 9 coming in, but it does give a very good performance of what kind of a standard drag queen is and like what a good bar to set yourself at would be. Um one of the funniest things I think she said was the I'm really ahead of the game. And like, girl, you just walked in. Like, spoiler alert, I know she's like the winner of the season, but like it's just so funny that the editors are already trying to make us like love her. And I do, but it's just so funny. She's like, I'm really ahead of the game. I was like, you don't know them yet. And I think that kind of confidence is what you need to like be in this competition. Like very Lux Noir London, like formula down, which I gotta love, gotta pay her the respects. So RuPaul pops up on the TV with a message that I am not going to say and maybe should have been thought about twice. Oof. So, and then RuPaul just walked through a curtain in the basement, which is really funny. Like, they just had like a curtain put up in the World of Wonder basement, and RuPaul just kind of goes, hey, what's up? And the basement just looks cold. Like, I just know it's cold down there, you know? Like, it looks freezing. And I think it's still cold now. Like, I believe a couple of queens on the show have said the workroom and also the main stage is like freezing cold, and it's because of the drag too, because like they don't want them to get super hot in their costumes or have like makeup running or things like that, and it's just so like it looks cold. So as RuPaul is talking about herself and her like global domination, BB kind of refers to herself as RuPaul. Like she sees herself in RuPaul. And you can kind of tell by the edit that they're like showing us again that, you know, BB is going to win the season. It gets a little clearer towards the end, and especially in this first episode with that knowledge. And the craziest part of this whole thing was the grand prize for season 1, which was a cash prize of $25,000. And the way they all scream as it's the craziest thing they've ever heard is crazy if you think about it now, which the prize money is now $200,000. And the runner up last year got $50,000. That's double the price. Like, that's double the prize money from the first season. Like, just imagine being on that season and that happening to you. I would be so sad. I'd be like, cut me my check. Please, I'm begging you. And then the contestants also win a lifetime supply of MAC cosmetics and then featured an LA Eyeworks campaign. And then they get to join the Logo Drag Race Tour, which I believe doesn't exist after a certain point. They stopped offering that prize. I don't remember which season it was, but it's very interesting to see. So RuPaul announces that for their Maxi Challenge, the first part of it is to do a sexy photo shoot. Ooh. One of the things that got me the most is that it's so funny that it's just in a parking lot next to the studio. Like, imagine walking by and seeing this. Now it's like all undercover in like the studio lot, and they always have to like change locations every once in a while so no one finds them. And then they were just like out on the streets of like LA or wherever, just like doing this whole thing. All right, so I'm not going to go through every single person for the sexy photo shoot because I know that I'll have to go through and do the runways as well, which will be part 2 of the challenge. But I'm just going to give some quick thoughts. Why? So Tammy Brown was first, and then Chanel was next. But in the edit, RuPaul wasn't with Tammy Brown walking up with her to like go to like the thing. Like she kind of just walked out there being like, hey, what's up? Like very like, I threw up, mom. Like, what? But then for the second one, with Chanel, RuPaul is with them. She segued with Chanel and Pork Chop, but not all of them. And I guess like, you know, you can't do that for everybody because then the episode will be super long. But it's just like really jarring. It's like, damn, what did Tammy Brown do? Like that's so, like this is so disrespectful. And then Nina Flowers, RuPaul was loving what Nina did. She was like screaming. She was like, yeah, yeah. Like she was like cheering for her. And it kind of just shows that, you know, the basically what's going to happen with Nina winning this episode, spoiler alert, it kind of shows like again in like the edit, like RuPaul loved Nina to begin with. So it's easy to see why she gave her the win throughout this. For Akasha's, RuPaul still uses the same quotes 15 years later. And it's just so funny. Like, she was just saying some stuff that I was just like, oh, she really hasn't changed, like, her etiquette. Like, she has gotten some golden phrases and has milked them through. And she will continue to milk them. And she will make her money. She will make her coin, which I think is iconic, but also crazy at the same time. And as previously stated, Akasha should be a model if she isn't one already. Akasha she looked gorgeous. She looked really good on the Drag Race magazine shoot. Like her cover photo is amazing to die for. Like Akasha is just yummy. I think I might be an Akasha stan, which isn't great for me, but Team Akasha. For Angina, slay. BB, what are these photos? Jade, hot. And then for Rebecca Glasscock, RuPaul kind of gave her like a weird stare, and it was kind of like, okay. Like, why is RuPaul giving her like the death eyes? Because like she wasn't even in the bottom for this episode. Like, what is this like alluding to? I don't know what they were trying to say with it. I think she was in the bottom three for this bottom something. They only got 5 people to come back, and it was very like interesting to look at. I was just kind of like, let me actually take a look and see. Was she? Yeah, Rebecca Glasscock was low for this episode. She was bottom three, but I was like, she didn't lip sync. So why are we showing that RuPaul didn't like her if she wasn't up for elimination? I don't know, not crazy, but I was just like, get off my girl, Rebecca Glasscock. Like, that's my boyfriend. So the next part of the challenge is drag on a dime. So they are going to have to reinvent their glam drag looks using thrift store clothing and a bunch of stuff they found at the 99-cent store. Um, and then a bunch of stuff that they said, I believe, that they found in the basement of one of the studios on the lot. The small budget on the show, like especially in this season and in this first episode, like just kind of like using all the costumes that were already in the studio and going to like the dollar store really blazed the trail for like all the design challenges on Drag Race. Like, designing is one of the biggest aspects on Drag Race. Like, it is one of the challenges you know you're always going to get, and it's always going to happen, and a lot of people are going to have their eyes on you. And it's just so crazy to see that like this small thing for them to try to save money became such an iconic challenge on the show, and everyone looks forward to seeing those runways and seeing the creativity. So it's just a great way to start off the formula that we got to know through more seasons. All right, so all the girls like grab their stuff. They're like fighting each other. You know, murder is happening. World War III is upon us. And then everyone gets to their stuff, and the workroom is really quiet. Like, we see like a confessional, I think, with BB, where she's like, oh, everything's like kind of quiet. Everyone quiet in the workroom on Drag Race does not happen. Does not happen very often, which is just crazy because they're always telling them now to talk about some story, talk about my tragic past, talk about this, talk about why I'm going home this episode, or all these things. And it's just very funny to see like everyone's quiet, so they didn't know what to do for a few minutes in the like description, and I just think that's really funny. RuPaul comes around and starts looking at everyone's look. She kind of drags Akasha through the mud and says she needs to be more creative, which is like, damn, drag her, drag my girl, damn. All right. And then she tells Porkchop that her outfit is very costumey and it's like a Hawaiian look. And we'll get into it when we look at it on the runway. But like, I do see what RuPaul was saying in a way, but it's not a bad look. Like, what we see in the workroom isn't like giving like tacky the way that like I think RuPaul was taking it as. But RuPaul is also been gaslighting these queens since season 1. Like, she is extremely chaotic neutral or whatever. Maybe like chaotic evil, if I'm being honest, if we're thinking about her crazy insane laugh, but just so insane. So insane. One of the cutaways they had, like, on the B-roll of this episode is that they cut to a RuPaul clock, and I never saw that. Like, for some reason, that completely got out of my memory, and I'm like, where did that come from? And they should bring it back, or at least highlight it in one of these newer seasons episodes, because it was so funny. Like, amazing. Like, I could not get over it. So then the queens have 90 minutes to get ready, and they have to get out to the runway. I'm not sure if it's still 90 minutes or not. I believe they have 2 hours now, from what other people have said. And if you're anything like Cop Mora Hall, it's kind of like funny because she used up like the whole time and then was like late, which is like iconic. So I feel the pain of all of them being like, I can't do this in 90 minutes. Like, it takes me 3 hours to paint. Like, I think it's Nina Flowers with her beautiful mug was like, I get up at like 6 in the morning to look this good or something. And it's so funny. So we go out to the main stage. RuPaul gives her spiel. We have guest judges Bob Mackey and Mike Ruiz. Mike was the photographer for the episode, and Bob Mackey is, you know, from the House of Hall, Chicago's Mackey doll. Wow, two Kamora Hall jokes in under a minute. But we stand, we love. But yeah, Bob Mackie is known for much more than that. Iconic fashion designer, made a lot of outfits for RuPaul as we've come to know. And we're gonna get onto the runways. All right, so moving on to the runways. First up, we have Nina Flowers. This look is amazing. The silhouette is really good. Nina paid attention to detail really well with this look. Like she's wearing like this beautiful, again, mohawk moment that kind of looks like, I don't know how to describe it, like hay, like, or like a bird's nest, but it's kind of like cool and fun and fresh. And it looks really, really cool. And her attention to detail is crazy with these red plaited pants and the way it's like cut off to where her booties are on her heels. And it's just so pretty. The googly eyes on it are just like so good too, because it shows that she paid attention to what was asked for in the challenge, which was, to take the thrift store clothes, make something new out of it, and add from the dollar store. While we saw some people who didn't do a dollar store piece in it. This look kind of reminds me of what Isis Couture won on Canada's Drag Race with. It looks really similar to this. And, it kind of shows that, even maybe Isis got some inspiration from Nina too. And I think that's just like really cool. Nina was really ahead of her time. Very punk rock edge to drag that can be really fun. And Nina gets that a lot. I'd wear this. If I was doing drag, I would want to wear this. And I think that shows that she did a job well done. So congrats, Nina. Like you served on the very first episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, and we will forever be thankful. Moving on to Akasha. She just wore a two-piece with no dollar store pieces on it. Like it's literally just a two-piece black outfit. And it's like, I don't know if she had to sew it or if it's just like the same look. That's one of, like, it looks like very off the rack. Like she didn't do much with it. Like, I don't know. It might have been a dress before and she like cut it out and she's showing body and it's beautiful. But Akasha, my beautiful dear. Oh no. Like it looks really good. She looks nice. She's giving me like girl group Destiny's Child vibes, especially with these like beautiful earrings she has on. Like she knows how to work a runway too. Like the way she comes down and twirls, she is confident and it shows. And Akasha really knows how to work that runway. And I would beg to see her work a runway again. It looks really good. Um this is just something that wouldn't go like this is just something that wouldn't happen on the show now. Just wearing like a two-piece without like doing any of the details of the other challenges. Like queens and contestants now, like the contestants now know that they cannot do that. They have to follow like by the book or they go home. And even sometimes they follow two by the book and then they also go home. But it's also like kind of camp at the same time to go against RuPaul like that. Like it do take nerve from charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. Like it do take nerve to walk out in just a toothpaste down that runway. But I don't have like a full critique on if it's good, bad, and different. It looks good, but it's just not the challenge. So great job, Akasha, but oh my god. All right, so moving on to Angina. Um, Not my favorite. I'm not sure if she knows how to sew. She may be a hot glue gun girl. Like she may be a hot girl that uses that glue gun. Like some other people have on the show. Cause it's the silhouette's fine. It's interesting, but honestly, I'd probably make something like this if I ever got on the show, so I can't be like too harsh on her. Like it's just kind of like she said it out there. I think it's a loofah and it's like wrapped around her and she made like straps out of it and did like this like headpiece on top. And the headpiece is really, really cool, but it's just not giving what I know Angina can do and what we see from her. Like what she walked in with into the workroom was really, really cool. But this was just like partially a miss for me. And I was just kind of disappointed in that. But again, like she is one of my favorites. But again, I would probably do this. So this is why me and her would probably very much get along. Also, Angina dancing her ass off on the runway to not go home is so funny. Like, I love it. Like, I feel like she knew what she was wearing was not great. So she said, okay, I need to show up on the runway. I need to be this like fun personality and like give it my all. And it worked. She didn't land in the bottom. I think she was a just right at safe. Yeah, according to the track records. Oh, according to the track records, Angina was actually high for this episode. So that's even more interesting to look at. Huh. Wow. All right. Interesting. Hmm. So yeah, I guess they loved like her runway and performance for her to be high on the episode, but props to you, girl. We love you, Angina. Up next, we have Victoria Pork Chop Parker. I died of laughter when she walked out. And not because of her outfit, because of her quote. And I don't know why people don't meme this one more. She goes, I hate my outfit, but this is what I got to work with. Me too. Me too. Pork chop. Like, that's so funny. That's one of the funniest lines I've ever heard on Drag Race. Like, it's had to gone viral before, right? Like, I've seen that video clip before, and I forgot I even knew it. It felt like she was only on the runway for like 6 seconds. I was like, let me go back and recount. Like, I literally rewinded it. It was like a hard 15 seconds, but like, she was so quick. Like they were hiding her outfit, but the outfit's not even that bad. It's well constructed. It has detailing. The headband she did with it, even with the earrings, it does look really cute. I don't know if green is necessarily her best color to wear. I'm with Michelle Visage on this one, but it does look really well made. Like it's hard to see like why was she in like the bottom for this. Like you can kind of see it in the episode, but it is well constructed and well made. But it's very interesting to see. So I can see where the judges were coming from, but I also could see how they could have put someone else there as well. All right, next up is Bibi Zahara Benet. Right off the bat, this is a really good outfit, and the hair with it is a really good choice. Like it has so much volume to it, and the color on it just goes so well with what she made with the look with this black skirt that's cheetah or leopard print or giraffe. It's something. It's something like one of those patterns, and it looks really, really good. She knows details very well. And the reveal was also like a really good touch when she like came out. She knew how to get the judges entertained, and that's something you want to do. Even though she was called safe for the episode, she was giving like a fierce catwalk. And she was giving all of this on like All Stars 3 too, which is like crazy to think about. Like it's just so interesting to look at, but it's really well made. Like especially for having to design that herself and reconstruct it there. I'm definitely for it, and I really really like it, especially all the strings she did around like her arms. She just said, how can I take this and make it look next level? Next up, Chanel. Chanel looks incredible. She looks so good. It's absolutely insane. It literally meets every checkbox of what was asked for in the challenge. Like the umbrella is cool, like the sunglasses with it, the orange, like the way it shapes on her body, like it is so good. I can just imagine being a fashion queen who's on the show, or and also me personally being a person who likes fashion. People must have adored Chanel on her season. Like, it looks like she blazed the trail the same way Nina Flowers did, for this silhouette and the attention to detail and giving like full fashion. It's very interesting that they called her just straight safe for this look because it looked really good. I was surprised they didn't want to critique her. But they did say in the edit that the judges thought she was overly confident. And I can see how that can kind of be a turnoff, but don't you want like that confidence in like your next drag superstar? Well, I guess like as of later seasons, especially with it being a reality show, like humility is also important too. But I don't know. I think Chanel had a great entrance look. She had an amazing cover photo, and like this outfit is really good. I'm surprised she was not in the top or high for this episode, or even have won the episode. I think Nina did a really good job with it too. But it's just it's wild to look at because Chanel she really bowed out for this. So props to you, Chanel. All right, next up is Jade. She looks really good and was able to come up with something really creative. This like warrior princess look is really, really cool. It's an interesting take for this challenge. But then again, there's no theme for the challenge really. Like they said, like make like your glam drag. So who's to say like that's not her glam drag? It looks really good. And I like the way all the pieces on the bottom kind of move, all of those strips. It kind of just flows really nicely. And she also has great shape. It looks really, really cool. It seems like for this episode, every fashion queen on the season, like at least for this season one, it was trying to do something like avant-garde with their look or do like a full fantasy storytelling. And you really see that like come into fruition with this look. Like you can kind of see it in everyone else's look. That's like, I'm trying to tell a story. I'm trying to interest the judges. Okay, next up we have Rebecca Glasscock. Rebecca Glasscock walked out with shark titties and a shark teeth backing on her dress. It was really funny. It was really, really cool. Like the hair looked kind of nice with it. And like the it's interesting. It's definitely like trying to go somewhere with it. And I see the vision, but I feel like the vision should have been revised. Maybe the a little more time could have been better for her on it. But it's interesting. It's an icon. I am with her. But I'm just surprised no one helped her sew or at least like try to give her any advice. Like I could see how it's a drag competition and yada yada yada. You don't want to like have that, but it's just so like funny. This is very much giving tiny little black dress saves the day for sure. Um, but I don't know. At the same time, this is pretty camp to me. So, I don't know. Team Rebecca Glasscock. Next up is Tammy Brown, our fifth Golden Girl. Tammy's outfit is really not bad at all. I couldn't really remember what fashion Tammy Brown wore on the show, cause she's more known for like her comedy and the quotes she did on the show. No one really remembers her for her fashion, it seems, or at least like in my opinion, it seems to be that way. But it's really cute. This zebra or giraffe print, I don't really know what that is. It looks almost like, when you go to like the arcade in like the 90s and it's like they have like that black and white like carpeting or like on the walls, like just something like that. Like it looks like she took the carpet of off that and wore it like on a dress because it's like this like really pretty cut that's kind of like swimwear. But yeah, the zebra or giraffe print or whatever it is looks really good with the purple coat over the top. It's really cute. It's kind of cute. I'll give it to her. And this is the thing that gagged me because they kind of showed this in like the thing, but there used to be stairs on the runway. Like she was walking up them at the end, and I was like, we used to have stairs for the drag race runway, and that's just like wild to me. Like you just imagine them having to come down the stairs and like all the crazy looks that they do. I mean, they go upstairs, but like the stairs going down into it was really nuts to see. I was like, oh my God. So RuPaul brings back all the contestants and says that the judges have done their scores. And this made me wonder, are they still doing a scoring system? Because there's no way. Like, because of like the production that we have, there's no way that they still do a scoring system to pick like tops and bottoms and whatnot. Like that just cannot there's no way that's true. It might be true for this first episode or maybe this first season because they didn't know like where they wanted to go and how they wanted it to happen, but I don't know. But it would be cool to bring back the scoring system if they would do that, and it would be the fairest overall. I just thought it was interesting that RuPaul said that, and I was like, huh? So as the critiques are happening, the references for the judges are just like all over the place in pop culture. Like they're just like, oh yeah, you're giving like, I don't know, like Liza Minnelli, like down. It's giving, I don't know. I can't even think of anything because they were just like kind of wild. Um, the one critique that they gave Rebecca Glasscock was that she's giving like girl in jeans, but not in a dress. Like that critique is so wild. Like the like the judging is just it's wild in this. And for a moment, Santino and Bob Mackie give really good fashion advice for the episode, and I was like, oh wow, they're really like turning it out. Like that's crazy because as we know, like Santino kind of gets worse over time, and we'll see that as we go along this journey. Um, but it's just so like wild because like they said like Santino said something about someone looked like they give $20 hand jobs, and it's just like that's how what are you supposed to do with that critique? What are you supposed to do with that? And it just I don't know. Like I know it's a TV show, but it's also at the same time I was like, can you just help these people? Like this is not about you. All right, Mr. COVID denier. So there's that. Um Best line from Akasha was pork chop looked like a football field. That got me so good. Like that was so funny. And then Akasha said, "Bitch, I want to be here. I took off work." And it was just the funniest thing I've ever heard. So they announced that Nina Flowers is the winner of this week's challenge, which is so freaking cool. Nina ate this challenge up. And you could tell from the rock and roll music they played behind her in critiques that she was gonna win. She was gonna take it. And her prize was a stay in Paris Hotel in Las Vegas and to have immunity from next week's elimination, which that is crazy to me. Like the immunity award, I forgot that was like a big part of the show. Like they did it up till I think like season 5 or so, and that's just so crazy to me. It'd be cool if they brought it back for like season 16 or like a future All Stars. And I'm not talking like the chocolate bar. I'm not talking it's chocolate. I'm talking like having like some type of incentive to, get immunity. Like tell them that that's the prize and have them go for it. And I think that would be a really interesting episode to have. Like have an episode that's just about the winner. Like this person gets immunity for one challenge or something. I don't know, just something to shake up the show. It could be a little broken, but also but Drag Race likes to try new things and I think that's really good. All right, so the bottom two is Akasha and Victoria Porkchop Parker. Um, and RuPaul saying this is the first outfit you've ever made, and it shows is such a crazy, wild thing to say. Like, it is just such an insane critique. I'm like, you really got her ass. Like, that is so funny. Like, RuPaul does not hold back out there, and it's really funny to see happen. And they were coming for pork chop hard. They were ready to send her home. So the lip sync song for the bottom two, RuPaul announces that they're going to, she's going to ask them both to lip sync, and one of them will chante, which means stay, and one of them will sashay, which means to go away. Or I think she says leave, something like that. Maybe it's away. That rhymes, so it has to be that. I think that's what I wrote. Yeah. All right, so the lip sync song is Supermodel by RuPaul. I wish I could tell you like what was going on in this lip sync or how good it was, but we barely saw it. Like the editing for this lip sync has as a whole had a lot of teleportation and a lot of commentary. Like Akasha was teleporting like all around the room and like zooming around. She was like Tracer from Overwatch. I was like, what's happening? And Porkchop kind of just like disappeared, then reappeared. It'd be like, I'm going to the left. Now I'm standing center stage. And it's like, what is happening? But what from I could tell is that Akasha can lip sync though. She was really, really good. She was giving like that supermodel moment, which is what the song was calling for. And I wonder if they knew that going into it, like that she gave that and that was the song choice. I would not be surprised for the first episode. Victoria goes to standing to falling over like everywhere to then like going back to standing center. Like it was just it was wild. It was a wild experience from how far Drag Race lip syncs have come to see this kind of lip sync happen. And I was just, I had no words. I truly had no words. So RuPaul announces that the winner of the lip sync is Akasha, which means Victoria Porkchop Parker was the first ever to be eliminated on Drag Race, which of course we know from, I talked about in the very beginning, which is now known as being pork chopped or getting the chop. One thing I was thinking about was, could you imagine it being called being Akasha, or like, I don't know, like the Akasha Lounge, like whenever they did the season 13 lip sync, like that'd be so crazy to think about that, like, you know, like what if it was Akasha that went home first? Would we have had this like complete celebrity moment from Pork Chop the way we do? Because I just feel like that name just has like a perfect ring to it. And I just don't know if the producers were thinking that far ahead for the time. And if they were, that's really smart. But I just don't know. Victoria Porkchop Parker says that she's very proud of herself. She was the top 9 of thousands of people who auditioned for the show, which is really like a great moment to have. But it's also crazy to think there's only 9 contestants on this season, which is one of the smallest casts like that are usually done for this show now. We on season 15 had up to like 16 contestants. And I thought it was really good that they showed plus size representation in 2009. It really just shows that Drag Race did really blaze a trail for diversity of like queer people in drag. And I think that's really amazing to see. Right, so track records for this episode was Chanel was safe, Nina Flowers won, Rebecca Glasscock was low, Ongina was high, Victoria Porkchop Parker got the chop, Akasha was bottom 2, Tammy Brown was safe, Jade was safe, BB Zahara Benet was safe. So my overall thoughts on the episode was that it was really good. It was really enjoyable to see like these 9 people. I feel like I got to know like a good amount of them in a short amount of time, especially people who we know will make it further in the competition. We did get to see a good amount. They did a good job of evening this out and trying to make good story come out of it. And that's all we can really ask for something like this. So they were really working hard in this first season, and you can kind of tell it was like a love project for these people. And it was really cool to see so many looks, like the entrance looks, and then they were doing like the photo shoot with them and like seeing like how they would do that and then seeing how they would design looks. Like it was a lot of really good drag to see in like 40-minute time slot, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to see like what the rest of the season will do. I was worried that maybe I wouldn't have enough to say about this season, and that's why I was wondering like, should I do it from the very beginning? But I knew that it would mean a lot to me to look back at this show in retrospect. The only remaining thought I have in my mind, though, is what if the elimination for this episode was some kind of Mandela effect and Akasha actually went home first and that didn't set the pretense for all the seasons to follow? Like, is there a universe where season 13 didn't have the pork chop loading dock and maybe that challenge wouldn't have even existed and then Denali would have been top 4 and then we would have had like Save a Queen? Like what would have happened if pork chop was not the first one to go home? What in the Drag Race universe would have happened? That show needed that elimination so much. So, Victoria Porkchop Parker, if you are listening for whatever reason, thank you for your service. All right, so that's it for this episode of Dragging It Out. That was season 1, episode 1, Drag on a Dime. If you like this episode, please give this podcast a follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, wherever you are. And if you're here as well, check out my other podcast, The Mystery Files, with my best friend Tiffany. And you can follow me on Instagram at Logan LaMaster. That's Logan LaMaster. And I will see you all next episode for season 1, episode 2, The Girl Group Challenge. What a great title for an episode. All right, everybody, this has been Dragging It Out, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.